Welcome to Not So Silent. Thanks for joining us December 23rd, right before Christmas, if we can still talk about Christmas. I am joined with Chris Herdigan here, joined by Chris Herdigan in St. Louis. I'm actually in Chicago, my former homeland here, to celebrate the holidays with my entire family completely illegally. So don't tell anyone, please, until after the holidays. All right, so do me a big favor. A lot of different people out there, podcasts, news places, they're asking for donations and so on. If you get all the emails from the Trump campaign, they're still asking for more donations. We are not asking for any money. All we want for Christmas is you guys to do us a really big favor, or a couple of them. First off, subscribe if you're on YouTube or whatever. Most importantly, do us a favor. If you like us, if you like our stuff, please share this. Share it on Parler, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, Instagram, wherever else. Share it with your friends and family. Let them know all the common sense and truth that we speak. And then let us know what you think. We're starting to get more and more comments, more and more people signing up on our website, www.notsosilent.com. We will start sending out more content through that. And of course, we always go on Parler, Twitter, and stuff like that and try to send stuff out, primarily Parler. So again, please just do us a giant Christmas favor and share this, echo this, retweet this, send this out to your friends, and then let us know what you think. And I'm sure we get some things wrong here.
Yeah, just don't oversell it to your friends. I mean, come on, overpromise a little bit. Hopefully we overdeliver.
This is good stuff. Like, we're pretty much, it's like Ben Shapiro, not so silent. I mean, we're close. He went to Harvard Law. You graduated with a leisure studies degree. It's pretty similar.
Number one leisure studies school in the country.
So, all right. So let's get started. So we're going to start big topic today. We're going to talk about some of the conspiracy theories that have been abounding and crazy. They sound a little bit more real and more common sense than what we're being told. We'll talk about the new COVID relief / spending bill that just got passed. We will not be the first ones to report on it. Maybe the first you've heard, but I'm sure you've, if you go look and you'll see some different things. Even Tucker talked about it last night, although we're better than Tucker. And then we got our 30 seconds of bliss. And then we are going to finish, I think you'll enjoy this, with our top 5 better items for the COVID bill than the $10 million that they had in there for Pakistan gender programs. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, wait till we talk about it. All right, so let's talk about the conspiracy theories. This is really where my head is at right now. I want to bring everyone back to March and April. Try to remember what that was like, because this is starting to really pop up in my head. So take us back to, maybe call it April 1st. We're watching TV and you start hearing a bunch of stuff on Fox about hydroxychloroquine. President Trump was saying we found this pill that may actually have some potential therapeutic for this crazy disease that we don't know much about, COVID-19. Hey, what about hydroxychloroquine? For the first couple of days, people were just, what is it? Well, how does it work? All this stuff. And people were saying, look, this thing's been around for 60 years. People use this to treat lupus. People use this to treat rheumatoid arthritis, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a generic drug. And all of a sudden, everyone from the mainstream media, the left wing, started to go anti-Trump with their Trump derangement syndrome. Instead of sitting there and trying to see if it was good, they started to tell us Trump was making money off of it, etc. I have a conversation with my mom. I love my mom. I'm actually in my mom's house because she has internet and I don't when I come back to Chicago. So it's a little bit weird. I'm 41 and I'm using my mom's internet. But
it's actually pretty normal.
I live in her basement, I promise. So I'm on the phone with my mom about 3 days after hydroxychloroquine kicked in. We have some close friends who are getting hit really hard with COVID, young, relatively healthy. And we asked them, have you tried hydroxychloroquine? They said, no, our doctor recommended against it. I tell my mom this, and she starts spouting off her crazy Trump, conspiracy theory. Oh, this is a political game. And I am, and always have been, very anti-crazy conspiracy theories from the right and or the left. When you start hearing, Pizzagate or, someone's running an illegal sex ring in some pizza factory in DC, and you're like, this is weird. It just seems too strange, right? And you start to spell it. So my mom starts telling me, oh, this hydroxychloroquine, they're just politicizing this. It's a big political game. And I thought, no, come on, Mom. Not everything is a political game. And then 2 and day 3 start rolling out, and you start hearing CNN and the New York Times and everyone say hydroxychloroquine doesn't work. And all of a sudden, we had a friend walk by our house happens to be in healthcare, tells my wife who's in healthcare, oh, hydroxychloroquine, I wouldn't touch that stuff. Trump is making millions off of this. Wait a second. If you know anything about drugs in the pharmaceutical industry, when a drug becomes generic, there really is not a lot of money to be made off of it from that point forward. It's the first 25 years the patent exists. That's when companies like AbbVie, Pfizer, or whoever make their many, many billions of dollars off of it. But this drug is cheap. It's generic. Anyone can make it. It's very inexpensive. It's been around for 60 years. But then everyone started to say, no, it doesn't work. But then you'd hear the guy, the epidemiologist from Yale, get on Fox News and say, I've seen it work. And then other people said it didn't work. And it became this big political argument, not a scientific argument. And then when it became scientific, it still was political. You had the top epidemiologist at one major institution and the top of the other tell you the exact opposites about this drug that's been around for 60, 70 years. And I thought, this is nuts. But the conspiracy theory that Trump is making money, and it was real. That was actually more real, that they were just trying to attack Trump than they actually had any evidence that this thing was a dangerous drug. And so for 9 months, half or more of the doctors in America would not give out hydroxychloroquine. Certain governors said they will not take it, etc. They were banning uses of it. And yet now it just is coming out in the last week or two, massive amounts of studies across numerous different areas and, peer-reviewed and everything else saying hydroxychloroquine, actually not a bad therapeutic. I'm not saying it's a cure, but it certainly wasn't a bad therapeutic. And yet for months we were told, don't take it. It'll kill you. You'll have heart problems. You'll have everything else. And they want to say so-and-so has caused all these deaths. Isn't the politicization of this drug? Yeah, it's a tough word to say. And so I'm starting to go, the conspiracy theory is just more real. This idea that someone deep down is going, let's attack the right or Trump or whoever by saying this doesn't work. And that was real. The conspiracy theory was more real than the fact that the drug was an unsuccessful therapeutic. What say you on this? I got more.
Well, it speaks to a deeper issue, which is, what is a conspiracy theory? It used to be something fringe. Now, anything that benefits the right or benefited Donald Trump was pitched in the media as being absolutely horrible, or a conspiracy theory if it were to work. And because we have no trusted source in media now, things that should be just straight up conspiracy theories, people are going, well, I wonder what else is true that the media is feeding us. And that's one of the problems, is they blurred the line on conspiracy theories so much because they are so anti-Trump and they politicize COVID so much that I don't know what to believe anymore. And I'm entertaining just about any theory. The world may be flat. Maybe it's not right. Maybe it never went to space. I'm not sure.
See, now we're going to get some sort of weird stamp from YouTube because you just said the world's flat. That's nuts. So, but I get where you're coming from, right? How about this? How about this one? Everyone wants to talk about the Dominion voting machines, and that seemed nuts. Come on, there's someone really. I looked at it and I said, look, is it really possible for I didn't know that I believed in what I would call fraud. Right? I don't know if it was fraud as much as something weird. Maybe they changed the rules. We didn't recognize how they changed the rules. Maybe legally, maybe illegally, maybe constitutional, maybe unconstitutional. Something weird happened because the numbers, the statistical data doesn't add up. But then you start to dig deeper into this Dominion software, this Dominion voting machines. So Dominion voting machines happens to use, if you've heard about the SolarWinds hack. Yeah. So SolarWinds is this massive software company, infrastructure management company that many governments, much of our government and other major corporations use, right? Dominion happened to use it, although they have since scrubbed their website so that the little SolarWinds logo is gone. You can see that and we talked about it a little while ago. All right, so now let's go deeper. So Dominion voting machines, which many people are claiming potentially were hacked, but they were said, nope, they're not connected to the internet. But our former cybersecurity director, who Trump fired, who everyone got mad at Trump for firing, but now has come out that it was Dominion was hacking us during, his time. Guy gets fired. He now sat in front of Congress and said, yes, some of these voting machines are connected to the internet. Now, what are they connected to the internet? Now, SolarWinds is a piece of software that they have on their stuff. We didn't know that SolarWinds had us hacked until a month ago, so we've been told. Now, let's go deeper. SolarWinds. Who owns SolarWinds? SolarWinds is bought by two private equity firms. It's a publicly traded company, two private equity firms, Thomas Bravo and Silver Lake Partners, both of which have people on their boards or their chairmen of their boards who have given 6 figures plus to the Clinton Foundation. Why? Why does it always go back there? They didn't say gave 6 figures to the Salvation Army, 6 figures to Chick-fil-A, to different groups Chick-fil-A gives to, 6 figures to the Baptist Church in South Carolina. No, it was all goes back to the Clinton Foundation. It's, again, I'm not trying to say that I have any sort of evidence or even belief, but it's like, doesn't that conspiracy theory start to make almost more logic? There's more logic to it than
ish. I mean, Newsmax had to do a major retraction on all of their stuff Dominion related because they don't have any hard evidence. This is still all circumstantial and still speculative, but I think your point is that we wouldn't normally entertain this without hard evidence, and now we're starting to wonder because of the hydroxychloroquine. Yeah.
To my point, yes, there is no hard evidence. I'm not saying there is. I'm saying there's so much smoke everywhere you look. The hydroxychloroquine all of a sudden is being said that Trump is making money when he's not. And
this is reaching the top. Wasn't it Gingrich that said, I'm not recognizing Biden as president? I mean, this isn't just the people doing this. This is pretty serious stuff. And Biden's
when it comes to the election. Now you start to look, and Tucker did a whole monologue, which I thought was fantastic, on the vaccine. And he even said, I am not an anti-vaxxer. I personally am not an anti-vaxxer. My kids have gotten every vaccine on target according to what their pediatrician tells them. The exception was we waited 1 year for my son to get the, whatever. So one of the vaccines recently. So he just got it. That's it. We are vaccinators. But this one has come out, 3 weeks ago. And they're not saying, hey, here's the good, here's the bad. We think you should take it. It is like they have talked about, they believe that professional athletes need to endorse this to make sure that it gets out there. AOC is getting it. Everyone's getting it. They were the ones telling us, don't get it if it comes out under Trump.
Oh, yeah.
They're putting
their own fault. They're the ones who sowed these seeds. And all the studies have shown that I think around 50% of people willing to take it, even less in urban communities, which is not going to be good enough. If you want, herd immunity, you need, I think, closer to 75%, something like that.
No, 75% either have had the disease or get the vaccine. So again, he came out, Tucker said this, and it makes a lot of sense. And again, I want to be the person who says, I never want to be the Alex Jones. I don't want to be the crazy conspiracy theorist. That's ridiculous. People who get to their positions in Congress or whatever, they're still people. They grew up. At one point, they were 3-year-olds who cried. They're fine. They're normal human beings. But then you start to go, they all seem to be tied. There's some sort of weirdness going on, and almost everything has become a political game, like it's a war game. They used COVID. It feels like they're using a disease to divide the country or to push people out of power, push people into power.
That they have. That there's hard evidence of. And Nancy Pelosi has said specifically that, are pretty darn close to it, holding up relief bills because she wanted to wait till Biden was president.
Why are they so afraid to let us or people look at the voting machines? If there's nothing to see there and there was no tamper, why can't they be looked at? Why does these things have to go to court, be subpoenaed? Why can't both parties?
That's a mistake. They should open it all up. They should let the investigations run so there's nothing left hanging. No one knows. And now you've got 74 million plus people that are really heavily in doubt that this was a legitimate election.
So we know that the media is doing it. Now we're seeing big tech even doing it, right? Big tech. We're seeing where Zuckerberg had put all of this money that he was putting on top of it. How about this? This really started to blow my mind. I don't know if people agree with me or not. And this, by the way, brand new laptop. I have only used Google search once, and it was for this. I went to look up the studies on hydroxychloroquine and all the studies that have come out that show that it's healthy and fine and everything else. When I go to Google search hydroxy, right, I put in HYDROXY into Google, which is supposed to be the place you find everything. This is what comes up. The first option is hydroxyzine. Then it's hydroxycut, which that was like a weight loss supplement that was really prominent in the late 90s and hasn't been newsworthy since then, or since the early 2000s. Hydroxyzine, and then it's hydroxyzine promote, hydroxyurea, hydroxyl group, hydroxychloroquine sulfate, one in there. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sixth one down. Then it's hydroxyzine for anxiety, hydroxyl, hydroxypate, hydroxyzine for sleep. That's it. Those are your auto suggests from Google. When you type in the word hydroxy, you're telling me hydroxychloroquine isn't the most prevalent search thing right now? Come on. I don't buy that for 1 second. But that's what Google is going to make sure. And we all know Google auto suggest, it really drives traffic. And whatever they suggest, when you start typing, that drives traffic. We know it from our old corporate experience. It drives traffic. The big tech is in on this. It just, nothing feels real anymore. Everything feels like there's someone who's trying out to win their side of whatever game. Everything has become political, whether it's taking of a vaccine, a disease that's affecting all of us, the medications for that disease. It feels like even doctors are against each other. And you're hearing ethicists come out and say that, we should, we should definitely not vaccinate the old people because we need to level the playing field because old people are predominantly white.
That was astonishing.
See,
incredibly racist.
I mean, it's shocking. And then everything has become a big racial divide. So now let's get to our last major topic here to start, which is the new COVID relief bill, which has become a big political pawn from the left and right, frankly, both sides, dating back to October and even before, when the left came out and said, give us $3 trillion, and the right said, you guys are nuts, and it stalled and stalled and stalled. Then after the election, Pelosi says, let's get back to the table, and she has even come out, and so have other people saying, we weren't going to vote on anything until after the election, which is ridiculous. So the latest bill that got passed by really with bipartisan support in both the House and the Senate was a $900 billion for COVID relief and a $1.4 trillion omnibus spending. So basically just a bunch of other spending. So $2.3 trillion. And it was a 5,400-page bill that our Congress people were given 2 hours to read prior to voting. They then voted, they passed it. Now it's gotten to Trump's desk, and people are wondering what he's going to do. And he's kind of stuck in his no-win situation.
I don't even know that he can veto it. I think he said he's going to, but I think they have a supermajority, which means he can't even veto it.
Okay. So what he wants them to do is he wants them to fix it, because in this $2.3 trillion, all it has is $600 for each American, basically adult, or each American, assuming that they make under a certain amount of money and whatnot. So $600. But what has started to get more and more and more reported are the billions of dollars going to other things in this bill. This like, hey, sign this bill. We're going to talk about it from a COVID relief standpoint, from a marketing perspective. But in reality, this is
sliding in this crap bill with it too. This, this omnibus bill, which is what keeps the government going.
Why don't you talk about the other stuff that's in the bill that just got approved in addition to the $600 to those of you listening?
Well, the COVID package specifically is not terrible in that a lot of it is going to, PPP money where you got to pay people to keep them employed. A lot of it's going to give extra money for unemployment, which is in addition to your state's unemployment. So there's a lot of money going to people, but I'm more on the camp that I don't think there should have been a bill at all. I think that we are running the risk of incentivizing people not to work. And I'm with Rand Paul when he says that these are the types of things that don't let people open up the economy. States will begin to open up their economy, open up their doors to restaurants and whatnot. as they begin to continue to fail. We can't keep printing money into them. So I'm upset at the bill, period. I don't want the bill, period. If there was a bill, I just wish it was just money to people. That's it. None of this like weird loophole crap with businesses. Just give people the money then. In the omnibus bill, it's your typical just total crap sandwich of a bill. And all bills are like this, right? Like I think we're just more aware of it now because with social media and more people doing their homework on these things, they're able to find this stuff and send us out some of the talking points of it. So there's foreign aid in there. There's, I think, 500 million to Israel, and that's not atypical. 10 million to gender studies in Pakistan, I think, is one of them.
Gender programs to Pakistan, 10 million.
Pakistan, right? And it looks bad when you pass these side by side. That, granted, that's a separate package altogether, and our spending is out of control. And that's, by the way, that's on Trump too. Trump did nothing to curb government spending, and that is a very non-conservative thing that he's been doing. So I'm not pro-Trump in the realm of like what we've been spending. Can I understand some of it for COVID? Yes, probably. But now that we're more aware of this stuff in this bill, it's like, how do we ever get a clean bill? It's like everybody gets to have a little piece of what they want. And, Shapiro made a good point about this, where when earmarks were eliminated, which is just sort of like, there's this ramp up to the bill and people will go, well, I'm not going to vote for this unless you add this for me or whatever, right? And everybody get their little piece of the pie. And then it'd be this bloated bill with earmarks. Now, because there are no earmarks, it's like these bills come in at the 11th hour, like you said, 5,000 pages, just completely bloated. People don't even know what's in them. And it feels really disgusting that even though that's a separate bill, to go, why in the world are we giving $10 million to gender education in Pakistan? Like, give $1 million to 10 Americans for do something better. And we'll have a top 5 better options than that.
And we do. That is what our top 5 is today.
Yeah.
And I think people need to understand there's 2 sides to this. So Chris, you make a great point. Should this have been passed at all? And we said about a month or 2 ago, when there was arguments over this potential second stimulus bill, this is, again, called a conspiracy theory. This is the roots of socialism. The more that the people are reliant on the government to pay them money to pay their bills, whether through all different means, whether it's a stimulus bill, it's unemployment, it's you name it, the more national debt we take on and the more people need the government. And they're shutting us down, right? And this is the foundations in many ways of socialism. And no one's realizing it because they're going, I just need the money to pay for my Christmas presents, to put gas in my car, whatever it is.
I mean,
this is how you do it.
Does this work if everyone just prints the same amount of money in their own country? So like nobody's currency gets devalued. We just keep printing money. It doesn't make sense because the more money you print, the more people have to spend on certain items, which means the more prices get raised for said items. And that's inflation, right? So like hyperinflation, I would think has to come. And I don't know why it hasn't yet, but the value of the dollar is going to go way down at some point. It's very dangerous.
Yeah, 100%. It is incredibly dangerous. And you can look up, if you want, you can look up all the different stuff in this omnibus bill that's outrageous and the money that's going, and you'll see it on both sides. Both sides are mad. Both sides are, the left just wants more money. Mm-hmm. And they actually, when Trump came out, and Trump has said he threatens, don't know if he can veto, but he threatens to veto this if $600 he said is garbage. He wants it to be $2,000 to $4,000 per person, which in my mind, I'm disappointed that he said that. Unless I wish he had clarified and said, look, you want to pass a bill this big, all of that money better go to the American people.
Well, he did add to that. I think, you need to take some stuff out of this, take some wasteful stuff out of this, and you need to up the amount to individual people. But I think what he was saying more is like, send me a bill that I can read. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to pass this. I hope he can veto it. Again, we're not that smart. We just pretend to be. But I'm not sure his veto power holds any sway when it's this much of a majority voting on it.
I can't believe that they expected a 5,400 pages, 5,400 pages, and you had 2 hours to read it and vote on this. Mm-hmm. That's outrageous. It's $2.3 trillion in there. And again, I want people to.
The best part is you have people on both sides saying this is ridiculous. I mean, AOC, what did she say? It was, it's like hostage negotiating. But she voted for it anyways. Because you know what? She doesn't get paid if we don't vote for that bill.
Right. This keeps them open.
Yeah.
It keeps them open. And it's to me, how about this? Let's stop Congress from making their paycheck and get them to actually come to us with something that's worthwhile. But unfortunately, the people voting for it, well, they want this to just keep going, right?
Yeah, it's horse crap that people can shut down other people's businesses and still make their paycheck. That's just a bunch of junk.
It is. This is garbage, and it's pissing a lot of people off.
Well, another point is Rand Paul made this point as well, that the federal government should not be bailing out states like California, meaning taking tax dollars from Florida, who's open up and doing much better, to pay for California. It's not fair.
Yeah. Rand Paul has done a pretty fantastic job in this regard. When it came to this bill, his statements on it they've gone viral in many cases, and rightfully so, because again,
he's been very consistent on this kind of spending policy too. Just no one listens to him.
Right. So things in there: $50 million to the Smithsonian. I believe is $26 million to the Kennedy Center. We had $1.4 billion, I believe, go to Egypt. We had just under $1 billion, I believe, went to Sudan. Many, many millions of dollars going to Pakistan to create the border wall between Pakistan and Syria.
Yeah, that
was pretty interesting. I thought that was actually amazing. Maybe they've decided that illegal immigration from Syria to Pakistan and vice versa is dangerous, but not here in America. So again, it's just gotten completely out of control when you
two good things Biden has done. One is Biden is not going to loosen the immigration restrictions Trump has, at least as of now, which is a good thing. That's a smart thing. And he actually gave Trump credit the other day for Operation, what do we call that with the vaccine? Warp speed.
Warp speed.
He actually gave credit to Trump. Those are actually unifying good things. Now, amongst a sea of terrible things, but to give Biden credit, I was happy to hear both of those.
Yes. And also in there, and Chris has mentioned it, and we will talk about it in our top 5, $10 million are going to Pakistan for gender programs. And Lindsey Graham has come out and said that that's what keeps him up at night. The women's studies situation, women's situation in Pakistan. Not to say that that's not important, but there are a lot of people here in America who I don't know that we wanted our taxes to go up to pay for that during this current moment.
Yeah.
That's at least our feeling. So we will come back to what we believe we should have had in this bill, and we got some good ones. All right, let's move into some fun stuff. We got 30 seconds of bliss. This is where I get to put Chris on the hot seat. I found another article that is, well, I guess fiction and nonfiction. The lines have been blurred, and this is real. It came out of the New York Post earlier in December. This is the headline, and I will read all of you guys the articles to know, so you know what's going on over in Europe. And then Chris has exactly 30 seconds to give us all of his thoughts.
Okay.
All right. Brussels cops reportedly bust lockdown orgy attended by diplomats. So this is the article. So police in Brussels have raided a lockdown orgy in the basement of a gay bar, collaring 25 people, including several diplomats and a member of the European Parliament, according to reports. The sex party in the Belgian capital took place Friday in the bar on Rue de Paris, or Piers, the Brussels Times reported. The European Union official, who has not been identified, allegedly tried to flee, but was caught and questioned by authorities. So now I want that image in your mind of him trying to flee after you find out what most of them look like. All of the attendees, most of whom were naked men, were fined for violating the coronavirus measures. Police also recovered drugs at the site, officials said, which I thought was pretty interesting, that the real problem in all of this was not the drugs.
No social distancing. Although there were a lot of leather masks, not N95s, but, very interesting.
All right, so, hey, you started early. All right, 30 seconds.
Where do I start? Right now? Okay, so I guess an alternate headline, Gavin Newsom violates travel ban. The cops didn't actually have to break in. They just used the code phrase, "I'm here for the gangbang." Turns out the defense put together states that Nancy Pelosi was actually in the party, and the judge threw out the case saying there's no way people would gangbang with Nancy Pelosi in there. So it's already been thrown out of court. Bad news for the local all-you-can-eat sushi and bratwurst houses that have been alternately rated by mistake. And hold on, give me 5 more seconds. Jeffrey Tubin now getting paid to do open seminars on Zoom gangbangs. And AIDS and other STDs celebrate as no longer being the black sheep of diseases.
All right. Well, thank you for those 30 seconds of bliss.
What was your favorite one, Taylor?
I like the Gavin Newsom one.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
All right. Good stuff. All right. So those headlines.
Expose yourself. Come on.
All right. Bring it back. Whew. All right. So again, before we wrap up here, we're going to get in the top 5 things, better items for the COVID bill than the $10 million for Pakistan gender programs. Again, $10 million is going to Pakistan for gender programs. So we got better ideas of what we could have done with this money, or at least $10 million of it. But before we do that, I need you guys to just go and subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you share this. Share this on some form of social media or echo this or whatever. All right, so Chris and I, we are going to wrap up here right before we get to the holidays with our top 5 better items for the COVID bill than $10 million to Pakistan gender programs.
Let's do it.
All right, I'll go first, then we'll finish. So 1, 2, we'll go. Yeah.
Alternate.
All right, so my number 5. How about some masculinity training in the United States?
Oh, I like that. That's excellent. Just all go directly to Jordan Peterson to just speak constantly in different states.
There you go.
I'd love to invest $10 million in ways to have old people not smell like baby powder and magazine perfume strips. It's Christmas. I feel like I'm smelling a lot of that lately, and I don't like it. It's not bad. It's just weird.
Maybe that's why the left is trying to kill him off with COVID.
Oh, they are.
Right. My number 4. The women's. I think we should have a women's history museum at the Smithsonian. Oh wait. Oh, that actually is in the bill. My bad. That is part of the bill. So I guess I didn't do my research well enough. Yes, a women's history museum at the Smithsonian. $50 million. I'm glad we're doing that.
Okay. How about $10 million to come up with a better name than Taint for that little spot? You know.
Give it to some Harvard professor to.
I'm just saying, like, we could burn some dollars figuring out something better.
Yeah.
Call it the Gobbler. I don't know.
It does make me think when you say $10 million to these gender programs, where does it actually go? Like does someone, like you said, the 10 million Jordan Peterson? I'm just trying to figure out. So back to my number 3. I think as we have become a more progressive society, and we have started to recognize as we all both, like when we were kids, there's been a lot of training to help us become more sensitive to homosexuality, and now it's transgender. And I think we're on the cusp of the next frontier with sexuality. I think we need to have some bestiality sensitivity training here in the United States, education.
I think that sounds perfect. That's so good. How about $10 million to install bidets into all government toilets, but instead of water, it's a fist? Little taste of how the American people feel.
Oh, there you go. I don't know why we're not donating $10 million to the Clinton Foundation.
That they do so much good around the world. Yeah,
they do.
Yeah,
I mean, they keep the upkeep on Jeffrey Epstein's plane and his island.
Well, I think they should put the $10 million for my number 2 towards a nonprofit. I believe it's nonprofit, the NFL. They need more money to help support criminals on their helmets and in their stadiums. So they haven't really put enough criminals on their jerseys and helmets. I think they need to put more on.
That would be wonderful. It is a not-for-profit, and it's a $9 billion not-for-profit, which is great. My number 1, how about actually giving $10 million to small businesses in America, like the restaurants that closed?
Actually, that is too good for this list. How about $10 million to research how to actually create Godzilla so China stops effing with us?
There you go. I love it. I love it. All right. So hopefully you guys enjoyed our top 5. Mostly things.
No free trade.
It is December 23rd. Chris and I do not stop working for you guys, even though it's Christmas break. Sean does. He's lazy. But Chris and I don't. So enjoy this. Share this. Send this out to all of your friends. Subscribe. Like us. Thumbs up it. Do whatever you're supposed to do to make us feel better about ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
We don't.
All right. So have an awesome Merry Christmas, because we're allowed to say that here on this podcast. Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah if you celebrate Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or whatever else you celebrate, and also Merry Christmas to everyone out there. Enjoy the holiday season, and we will see you on the other side. Goodbye.
And we already talked about how stupid gift cards are.
I know,
I was thinking
right?
about the worst gift somebody could give you, and I know what it is because it just happened. It's a gift from somebody you're not expecting to give you a gift, which makes you obligated to run out 2 days before Christmas to find that person a gift, and then you end up giving them the second worst gift, which is a gift card. Just thanks for spending $25 on something I don't want. Here's $25 in almost cash for you.
Yeah.
I went to Dick's Sporting Goods. I don't feel good about it. Those liberal morons.
Is Dick's liberal?
Are they the ones that don't sell guns anymore? Remember?
Yeah.
They went all woke there and they got crushed. Yeah. I had to buy some workout equipment. It doesn't show, but I like to have it. I'm more of a collector than a user of workout equipment, as you can tell. Look at my gym, it's pristine.